Welcome back to another episode of the 419. The 419, as you know, is sponsored by Witro Wealth Management. But hey, we got some new news. We've got a new sponsor. Huge thanks to the EA, the Employers Association, the newest sponsor of the 419. From two-person companies to corporations with thousands of employees, EA member organizations come in all different sizes. They represent a broad spectrum of industries, including manufacturing, engineering, agriculture, automotive, community service agencies, municipal and county governments, education institutions. The list goes on and on and on. There's more than 700 organizations that are members of the EA. Many of them have been members for more than 20 years. If you don't know the EA, that's okay. Chances are they know you or somebody who works close to you, and they want to get to know you. They're ready to serve you, and for you to learn more, all you have to do is visit theea.org. We are incredibly grateful for their support of the 419 and welcome them to the family. All right, let's get to the episode. The 419 is hosted by Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and me, Kevin Mullen. Sponsored by Witro Wealth Management and now the Employers Association, this is the 419. So I am super excited for this guest.
Mostly because they're here early.
Mostly because they're here early.
Within
That's
earshot.
true. Yeah, so I have to say that.
That's right.
But no, this is someone that I have looked up to and admired for a while.
All right.
Because they're tall.
And
Just let them finish the sentence.
yeah, they're of a I would say an above average stature.
Okay.
I don't know what average is. No, they're that like that person that you see in a room that you're just like, okay, I'm in the right room.
Cool.
Right?
All right.
Like if they're here.
What a sweet
Very
thing to
nice
say.
compliment.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard it out loud
No.
myself, of course.
Because I don't know that I've ever said that about
Yeah,
you.
nor
Matt.
would you.
Yeah, okay,
Sure.
perfect.
Dominic? Didn't know if I could tee up something nice.
Oh, man. Okay, so this person is a fellow public address announcer
Okay.
Oh.
locally.
Wait. Can I guess? No, go ahead.
I think guessing is like a real...
Yeah.
No,
right.
I know. You want it? You're
No,
doing
go
it?
ahead.
You're doing it?
One more clue, and then I'll guess.
Okay.
It's a man, right?
It is a man.
Okay.
Marv
Yep.
Alberts.
They are Grammy nominated, an international traveler, starting at the age of 5. Has worked at a few different places, but all of them focused on making Toledo better.
Interesting.
In fact, this person is so all in on education that they were actually born inside the TPS Board of Education building.
We have to have this person come out now.
did it used to be a hospital?
It used to be a hospital, so that's why. That explains
Maybe
it.
it was like
it was
during a
not
board
like
meeting.
Dr. Durant's office,
Yeah.
like, surprise!
Yeah. Those meetings run long.
It's a boy. Those meetings run long. Super excited to welcome the Reverend John Jones. Come on over.
Hey, John Jones. And he
Well,
just
I'm not
turned
standing.
50. How are you?
Whoa.
It's good to see you.
What a nice surprise. That the
That
show
is
is on.
true.
Yeah.
I felt like, Gretchen, you
Well,
were
that's one of
there,
us.
and so I didn't want to
What
give
a
you the other hint on my list.
I was going to guess Tom Cole, which this is not Tom Cole.
Tom, you look terrific.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've been working on it.
No. So also a phenomenal bow tie wearing fiend.
Sure.
You
So-
should have worn a bow tie today.
I should have.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
on the radio.
you did not.
there.
It's
What
a great-
always there.
Yeah, it's
I'm
there.
surprised you did not. That's why I
know.
broke out the purple.
Have you met
one.
Dominic? He's in a bad mood, but you can
Hi,
say hi to
Dominic.
him.
He's usually more
John
Were they
Jones.
talking about you like that?
Yeah.
Reverend
Do they
Doctor.
do this all the time?
No.
Oh, my
He said
goodness.
awful things to. I mean, where's the talent? I don't know why I have to keep telling you that all
Matt,
the
you have to
time.
see talent.
All right, so Matt likes to start in the beginning.
Yes.
So
Yes.
born.
First of all, that's an irritating. They always said Matt likes to start at the beginning. By the way, I mean it is where most people choose to start.
At the
but I guess
beginning.
that's just my, that's just my little quirk.
No. So you say that, but like, there's some great movies that start with the end,
That's
and
true.
then it's like,
And then it
I
backs
bet you
up.
wonder how
That's
I got
right.
here.
Name
right?
2 of them. Fine.
I have to think
Anyway,
John
the
Wick.
end.
Yeah. Okay.
John Wick
There
does
you
that.
go.
For John Wick, the
No, what's-
Citizen K of
what's-
filmmaking.
No,
Yeah,
there's a no. What's the movie that goes entirely backwards?
Benjamin Buttons.
John, thanks for coming on the show.
You're so welcome. This is exciting
Yeah, I can-
already.
Yeah.
First of all,
Memento?
let's say who John Jones is.
No, let's not. Let's start at the end. When you are about to pass away, John, tell me. Let's start there, like Kevin would like. What do you imagine the scene being?
How do you guys do this every week?
I'm
We
not-
don't every
no,
week.
so-
okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
why.
Matt,
Because of her
So Matt is being facetious, but
Yeah.
I think that would be a totally fun conversation. I'd love to hear your
Totally.
perspective on that. But we're not going to do it. Let's get there.
Okay,
Let's
not
get there
today.
later.
We'll get there. We got time.
Yeah.
We're going to tease the listeners with we're going to talk about John's deathbed later.
Yeah.
Who's excited about that?
Yeah. Tom Cole is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to want to know how it
Tom.
ends.
He is.
man.
He is going to want to know.
No, so John is the CEO of Hope Toledo,
Yes.
the public address announcer for Toledo Christian.
And the girls team.
Yep.
So there's another guy that does the boys team.
I
It's
never
actually
knew
a
that. That's
I
why
didn't know that
I
either.
got
He's not as
thrown off
good.
on the
Yeah.
announcer thing.
But he's not as good.
Didn't see that.
I am grateful that John has decided to keep his talents at the high school level because I would quickly be out of a job
You
if
would
he
not.
decided
No, you would not.
that he
You're
wanted to
good.
go to college. So,
Yeah.
and then also you're a reverend. You're a religious
Absolutely.
leader as well, along with
Ordained
your
minister.
dad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Incredible.
for 25 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2000. Well, I'm in my 25th year. So the year 2000 was the year both my brother and I. So my brother's in ministry as well. So family business.
Yeah, so born and raised here in Toledo.
Yes, sir.
What was childhood like for John Jones and for the Jones family?
At the beginning,
Thank you. Totally reasonable place to start.
quite literally. So I was telling somebody this earlier today. So I physically live like where my house is in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. Literally, my brother stays in the same house that we were born in, grew up in,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So our church is in that neighborhood.
What neighborhood,
It's
John?
the Junction neighborhood.
Yeah, sure,
So,
of course.
So we literally stay there. So my drive here was super long, and so at end
Well,
of
you're
day,
a terrible driver.
I am.
So
that
in
too.
fairness, it took a while
Yeah,
to get here
it
based
did.
on your
Based
skill
on all
set.
of that,
Yeah.
my skill set.
The more wrong-
that's why I hit your Jeep.
The more wrong turns you make, the
better-
longer it will take.
The longer it will take.
That's just
Absolutely.
another brilliant Kevinism.
T-shirt.
I don't know.
It's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
So growing up in Toledo was really outstanding. So dad obviously was in ministry, so he was co-pastor of my church. My grandmother was our pastor. So grandma was the first pastor of our church, arguably back in 1972, 74. That was unheard of. And so
A woman being the head.
a woman being
Okay.
being the head of a church, black church, Baptist church, all those things, you can start ticking them off, and that's not where you would find
Totally.
grandma, right? So growing up in that space, really interesting. Some would say we had reservations. I would use that word for it, like don't do this, you can't do this, you can do that. But I learned early that you choose to make great where you are. And that's how my grandmother lived. That's how my dad has lived. And you make great wherever you choose to be. And
John,
so
you may
that's
just
what we
said-
did.
You, how many siblings?
4 of us.
Okay.
Yep. So I have an older sister, younger brother, younger sister.
You know, you just touched on it, but
Yeah.
you had to be on stage. I mean, your behavior
Oh
was
my
clearly
gosh.
part of
All the time.
like the culture.
So how did you get away
all-
with things?
all the time.
How sneaky
Like-
were you?
and
like-
what was the
like-
largest thing you got away with? Can you talk about it today?
I don't think I want to talk about that
Sure.
today.
Yeah.
Statute of
uh,
limitations.
Right.
right.
I can though.
Yeah.
So literally, it was.
If you were Tom Cole, what's the worst thing?
What's the first thing?
What did you and Tom Cole
Tom,
do?
I apologize.
That's right.
I'm not sure what happened.
As Tom Cole, I smuggled heroin into Mexico.
When we bring Tom on, we're just going
I
to talk about
cannot
John
No, that's
Jones
it.
wait
the whole
till
time.
Tom
He's
comes
right.
on. He's right around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the guy
Yeah.
coming out.
He's lost.
I mean, literally having to navigate that space
Right.
was an interesting space because everybody's looking at you. You're always on
Absolutely.
front. And then for me, and even my brother, but for me, probably even more so because my grandmother started taking me to like church conventions and things of that nature. And so then people see you and they're like, oh, you're going to be in ministry. You're going to preach. And so it's like the pressure. Right, and then we went to
Were you drawn
Christian
to it, though?
schools.
Or
Absolutely,
always a good-
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. I can't say I was not. What I was not drawn to, what I didn't want to do, was just jump in and say, "Hey, I'm a preacher just to be a preacher." That's not.
Yeah.
That's not the space. But it's having good examples makes you not run from it,
Interesting.
and so that's a really good
I would
thing.
think both would be true. I mean, I can understand
yeah.
being intimidated to follow in the footsteps
Of
of
course.
people who are already established.
Of course.
And to some degree, as a child, could do no wrong.
Yeah.
You could have chosen either path, and both would be understandable.
Absolutely.
Right.
But and so we navigated through it. I mean, I did plenty of crazy stuff. I mean, we would sneak to listen to non-Christian music.
The air quotes is great
We
for
would do
radio.
all that stuff.
So-
oh, I'm sorry, air quotes.
Just a reminder that this guy's in
It's not
charge of the
radio
youth. You know
either.
what? The youth
It's
of
not
America.
radio either. There's a camera.
Yeah.
You know what's
Oh.
less exciting than air quotes? Is him just doing them? Is him actually announcing air
Air
quotes.
quotes.
Yeah. John, this is a mostly abusive to our guests.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like sitting there listening, I was like, yeah, I know what I'm
just walk
walking
right
into.
out.
Just
He left.
Yeah.
I'm just
He
sitting
just
there
walked up
waiting.
here for water. He's leaving.
Right,
I forgot I had literally everything else to do.
yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, but no, man, growing up and being in Toledo, so people, and obviously the three of you understand this. Growing up in Toledo is, to me, both the most wonderful thing in the world and the most painful thing in the world.
Sure.
All at the same time. So for us, it was like, okay, this is a great place to be,
But
there's not a whole lot to do. So even if we were trying to sneak and do something crazy, wasn't like you get into a whole lot of
That's
crazy.
right.
I mean, as teenagers, we rolled by, several of the clubs, try to think we're trying to do something, but we're
Right.
not doing anything.
so the school path, where did you go?
Emmanuel Baptist,
Okay.
but started at Toledo Christian. So
Okay.
kindergarten, first, second grade, Toledo Christian, and then we transferred, went over to Emmanuel, and those were the days. We graduated from there, so all of my siblings, we all graduated from there, and then I put my kids there,
Mm-hmm.
and then moved the kids back over to Toledo Christian. So we just ran this whole little
So talk to me
Circle.
about the amount of kids in the Junction you grew up in.
Yeah.
Went to TPS schools, I was imagining.
Absolutely.
Went to church, didn't. So how did you fit or not fit in the
Didn't.
neighborhood? Right.
Didn't.
Talk to me about that.
And didn't for a couple reasons. So
Your personality?
arguably, that was the main one.
Absolutely.
Nobody
Were you
wanted to be
bow ties then?
around,
Is that
right?
also the
Yeah.
kind
I want to see baby John Jones.
It's hard to actually. We
Wait,
all love
no,
John,
so
and we're
real talk.
thrilled. And now we're just
Yeah,
taking this
no,
opportunity to
we're
just
just
bash one of our buddies.
I was antique shopping. Just a side story, real quick. With
What a
Rhonda,
fascinating story.
Shut
I
up.
went antique shopping.
With Rhonda and
Goodbye,
Sarah this weekend,
downloads.
and we found in this antique store, we found this little display of these baby clip-on bow
Did you
ties,
really?
and we all said we should buy these for John Jones. And I didn't even know I was going to see you today.
Yeah.
But they
That is
they
outstanding.
said that there's no way that you would wear a clip-on.
I wouldn't.
So I'm
This
glad we
one's-
didn't buy them.
This one's a tie. I would
you
wear
don't-
it because you guys bought it.
Okay.
I believe that.
Once.
Oh,
And I'd say,
John,
hey,
John, you don't have to make a qualifier.
I wore
Just-
it.
Yeah.
If you don't
Just
tie
reminded
it,
me of that.
it's just a bow.
It's just a bow.
Oh.
It's not
Yeah.
a tie.
Interesting.
What a deep thing to say about things people don't give a shit about. You two, I can't wait for the documentary in you two's honor.
I
You know
loved
what
it.
a way to put substance in a bow tie.
Not all of us
Does
can
he
wear
wear
a
ties?
metro. No. He doesn't wear anything.
I will never have a job that requires
Ever
professionalism.
a tie.
I have never seen Matt in one of two situations
Nude.
with sleeves or without a hood. If the
even-
outer
He
if the
doesn't wear
outerwear
hoods, do you?
if the outerwear
He'll
has
have a hood, he
sleeves,
doesn't wear
it
it.
has a
Oh,
hood.
hoodie.
Right.
Got it. Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't have sleeves.
God, this is interesting content, right?
This is really good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
About it.
Now I know. Now I'm be paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I pay attention to the hood. I pay attention to no sleeves, but I haven't paid attention to the two.
the
They don't go
combination.
together.
It's a
together.
vibe. It's a real vibe.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
not in
real-
the traditional sense of vibe, but
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that.
More like
All right,
the
John,
opposite.
please bail us out here.
I got you. I
You're
got
the
you.
only interesting person
No,
about the show.
literally growing up, really great stuff, but painful all at the same time.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate through that space. And then once we got, when I look at this and I look at my brothers and sisters and how we all navigated through it, through neighborhood, not hanging with some of the kids.
That's right.
Hanging with some, but not all.
That's why I asked.
Right?
Yeah.
So hanging with some, not all. Some of the kids ended up coming to our church. Some of them did not. I remember vividly, true story, my sister was, one of the little girls came across the street and she was doing something crazy. My dad came out, never again, don't you? Like, because it's just stuff, little kids, cussing, this, that, and the other. Who cares?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the beauty of this is I look now and I look back and I'm like, you know what? That might have made the difference between me making the wrong choice here versus there and then where I am now. So that's sort of why I do what I do.
I'm going to dangerously jump way ahead.
Yeah.
Right. So now you as a parent.
Oh, my gosh.
How has that changed or guarded sort of how you parent your kids?
And your kids are out of high school now?
Two of them are.
Two of them are out of high
So,
school.
so my little guy is still in. He's a freshman.
Okay,
And so
Do you,
the
do you
other
parent Tom
two-
Cole's children?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No.
They are also
We,
out of high
we,
school.
I don't know
we,
why I fixated on this.
we
I'm
talked
just-
about that, but we decided that wouldn't be a good idea.
yeah, it's probably
Understandable.
unwise.
Co-parenting,
And so, co-parenting.
with Tom Cole. That's actually his
On the
next
next
book.
episode.
It's ninth book. Yeah, it's dad swap.
On the next
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
But literally, so my two older girls, one's out of college now, the other one's in college. So parenting them, this is the weirdest part, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I hear my parents' voice periodically, and I'm like, "Whew," I said I would never do that, and I'm doing it,
Yeah.
right? But the good news is that I learned from some of those things, and I said I'm not going to do some of them, not because anything was uber bad or whatever, but this is a choice that we have to do things in this way. Plus, times are massively different.
Yeah. Do you believe that to be true or just different?
The reason why I say it's massively different, it's different from the speed and the pace. Not that the
And the
information wasn't
access.
there.
The access to everything. I mean, they can get
totally different.
anything at any time.
It's totally different. And the speed at which
Yes.
the kids get the information.
Right. I mean, when we
anywhere,
were kids, like the
anytime.
way you would hear something,
Yeah.
maybe you
Well,
would see the
when
news
you
or
was-
whatever. I just see with my younger nieces now, you could monitor them all the time, but they could
Absolutely.
slip into something on YouTube and you don't even know what they're.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, they're, God knows.
Which is part and parcel why, like, when you ask how I parent now, so I hear my dad and my mom's voice. I can't say I did, so, there's a thing called, getting a whooping. Some people call it spankings, blah, 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 blah. I got plenty of them.
Same.
Up until I was 17, 18, right? I remember,
This is how
I'll
old
never
Gretchen
forget,
is.
mom throwing something at me because I said something crazy, and she, came and it was, oh, wow, okay. Last time I think I touched the kids in that kind of way was my son was in kindergarten, maybe something like that. And it's like, why? I chose to use the voice, right?
Yeah.
And say, we're going to do this way. Plus, I don't feel like getting tired. Trying to,
Or hurting right.
I don't feel like hurting
Or also
my
feeling
hand
guilty about this for the
to
rest of my
you. I'm
Right.
not doing that. So it's that kind of space. But the access, when you look at where our kids are today, not to make this that, but it is that. When you look at where they are today, they have access, and the speed of access is nuts.
Only one of us in this is qualified to talk about this, right? But I am really torn between, they certainly have more access to more information, but the decision tree is still similar, right?
They still got to make
so the
decisions.
access we had to whatever the worst thing
Yep.
at our time was, having access to HBO or Showtime, we were like one of the only kids that had that. We certainly watched stuff at night.
Absolutely.
That we didn't
Nobody's
understand
around.
what we were watching.
Little
right?
fuzzy
But-
screens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so I get it, and I understand that this is now terrifying, and there's things being sent to us to make us more scared based on the amount of Pepsi they want us to purchase, right?
Yep.
But we're not that sophisticated of a species, so I do think it is making a choice between right or left of center. It's just a different playing field.
True.
So, and again, I mean this with full sincerity, John. You're the only one that is in touch, I think, with real regularity with youth, although we are around young people. In terms of access on a positive way for information that is of value, how are you circling back around providing resources to make better decisions for the children that you oversee?
Absolutely. And that's a phenomenal question. So
What's that? I didn't hear the last part.
Do I have to repeat that?
No,
Okay.
So the
Gretchen
real-
didn't hear it anyway.
It was a good question.
She's so old.
I don't understand it.
So I think, and not just think, as we watch where kids are, so to your point, the decision tree is make a good decision, this is not so good of a decision, you have opportunity. What I think makes the difference is the speed at which I have to make that decision. And if I'm not informed with enough of a solid base, so as we look generationally,
Right.
who's informed my set of beliefs that allows me to make this choice versus that choice?
Yeah.
So what we try to do is to wrap our kids with enough information to say, here's how you could do this, or you could do this. The result of one of those two is going to be this, whatever that this is, right? So true story, talking with one of our kids, this is one of our Hope scholars that's in college, struggling with a class, teachers tripping, which happens, right?
Sure. Human beings too.
And they're teachers losing their brain, kids like, well, I was sick and I sent them a note and said I was going to have surgery and they're not listening and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how to handle this and I'm just going to quit. No. Here's the steps to walk through to do this. Now, here's the reality. They ain't listened to one thing I said, not one. However, because the result of not listening turned into, now I'm doing really bad in this class and either Hope is not going to pay for it or I'm going to turn it around and get the grade. Now I got to figure out what do I do now because now money's on the line. And so now it's shaping their thought process in a whole different way. And that's light speed different than little kids that are 3 and 4 years old.
I love the experiment with kids, right? I've seen
Yep.
videos of this where you set three cookies on the table and you walk away and see what they do, right? Or you offer them one cookie right now or 2 cookies later, and just
And
as a
see
way
what
of
the
trying to
choice they
see-
make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you can have one cookie before dinner, or you could have 2 cookies after dinner. Either way, you know exactly when they're coming. And so I love doing my kids every time 1 cookie right now. And it's probably a wise decision because between now
You
and
can
then,
litigate either.
yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
and between now and then,
Who knows?
something could go wrong.
Exactly
Who knows
right.
what's going to
And now
happen?
they're not getting 2
And I'm not
cookies.
going to get the cookie.
I'm just going to
That's
take
right.
the
That's
I'm
right.
going to take my cookie
That's
now.
right. This is promised.
And
Yeah.
because it's sitting
Tomorrow's
right in front
tomorrow's
of
a
me.
bet.
Tomorrow's not.
But I think this is what I found through community work,
Yep.
through Bridges Out of Poverty training, things
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
Is
Yes.
the timeline with which decisions are made
That's
in
absolutely.
generational wealth
Yep.
is a time frame that I can't understand.
Expound.
It's just so long, right? So this idea of I want my name on a building at a university that my great grandchildren will go to, that legacy planning that happens, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like as a fundraiser, I'm appreciative of it and I think it's great, but I just can't put myself in that space to say that's what you should be like. That's what I would do with my money, and because I'm not there. The exact opposite is true in generational poverty.
Yep.
Where that timeline with which decisions are made is so immediate.
It's immediate.
That I can't understand it.
Sure.
And so I have to put myself in those spaces.
Yeah.
But I think that's with kids. It's you just get so used to carrot or stick, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
immediate.
It's which one do you use to move and motivate? Because the one thing that I have, as opposed to what our kids have inside that space, is I've got a handful of years on them.
Yeah.
And I've seen multiple scenarios, which they've not seen all those scenarios.
I do think one thing that is absolutely irrefutable is now things that you do, the bad decision sticks with you.
It does.
Right? I mean, if you go back, I don't know, 30 years ago, your driver's license was a piece of paper, and extrapolate that. Now, do you send somebody a picture of yourself that is inappropriate?
It
done.
lives forever.
Forever and
And
chases.
God
I mean,
knows what
just think
happens to it,
about-
right?
So that's-
or there's a story about.
So regardless
yeah.
of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
efficacy of making decisions in the media or not, or the amount of information that's out there, what you do now can slam a door for you more so
For
than
a long
certainly in
time.
our
100%. And
So-
in the current culture, right, what you do
People
now
love that stuff. I mean,
creates that
right.
cancellation mentality.
That's right.
Like, oh my gosh, you said that, and I'm going to dig up everything I can, and because you did that 30 years ago, and now I can bring it into today.
Let's back up a little
create-
bit. Since you mentioned Hope Scholar,
Yes.
let's make sure before we talk a little bit more about that, what people understand what Hope Toledo is.
Absolutely.
And the good work that's being
Absolutely
done there.
And Gretchen was on the front end of this stuff
I
in
was.
the early days. So Hope Toledo's mission: support and ensure high quality education from birth to career. That's preschool as well as post secondary. The goal is to create generational economic change that benefits families and communities. So starting late 18, early 19, we've been on this journey to get to a space where we can say, hey, we've got a community that not just values education, but actually does the work of educating our kids early. So a strong start, we believe, means a strong future. And so when you build that space around preschool and give access, because now we're starting to talk about how much it costs to actually go to pre-K for a 4-year-old, and you're talking $1,200, $1,300 a month. I mean, the stories that I'm hearing,
It's insane.
it is literally insane. And then you multiply that, and then you look at what going to anybody's college, and that's anything post-secondary, whether it's 2-year or 4-year, most kids are leaving with ungodly amounts of debt.
Sure.
To your point about thinking about what does this mean to me down there, there's no thought process about what that means,
There's
and that I'm
no
going to
understand-
amass $100,000 worth of debt.
And what does that even
to
mean?
get through?
Yeah.
And what does
Yeah.
it mean? And what does that
What does
mean
it
at
even
the end
mean?
of the day?
Right. How does it affect anything else that you're going to do?
Absolutely.
I get
Absolutely.
so annoyed that universities can grant out these loans, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars of
Hundreds of
loans.
thousands.
With no discussion about, now disregard the demographic issues with the statement, but like with no regard to credit score, with no regard to the future income potential of that degree, right? If I want to get a car, the bank is interested
The bank
in
wants to know how am I
what
going to
is
pay
the
that money
value of
back.
that car.
Yeah, the value
What
of
is-
the car. How am I going to get it back?
Yeah, what's your income? What's your ability to pay it back? And we don't do that with degrees. Now, I understand that anybody can be a millionaire,
Yeah.
right, with any degree. But like, there's some degrees that like we know you can't get a job with that. Like we know that in Toledo there's not a market for that.
Absolutely.
So like, why am I granting? If you want to get it, great. But I'm not going to let you take out $250,000 in debt.
And I'll give you one up, and this is the learning process of going through this, because you haven't talked about this in a long time, but the learning process that I've had. So you literally can have a student who bombs a couple semesters. It happens, right?
Absolutely.
You can literally have a kid that bombs a couple semesters, takes a break, comes back and says, I want to re-enroll.
Sure.
Comes back, fills out the paperwork, and can get a loan to re-enroll. And their track record of proof, and I'm not saying that they can't turn it around. Lord knows they can. I want to see them turn
Gretchen,
it around.
do you want to tell your story?
But the track record is that they're not going to turn it around. But universities just say, here.
Sure, let it rip.
And I'm saying in my brain, why would you even let this kid?
When
Why would
credit
you even
cards do that,
let this
it's called
kid come back?
predatory
It's predatory lending.
So
But the
why-
universities still allow the credit card people to be on campuses
On
to sign up
campus,
people
it's-
for credit cards
It is.
too.
It is so nuts.
And government loans for education are the only ones that don't require an interest rate statement on their credit card in the
Yes.
top right. It says,
Yes.
if you only make the minimum payments, it can take you X amount to pay this off. There's a law that requires that to be on there.
And that X
It does
amount
not-
says lifetime.
It does not need to be on there for a
Right.
government-backed loan.
Period.
Yeah. So all right, so we're talking college,
Yep.
but I also think that it's not lost on me, having worked in education for so long, and I've heard Dr. Durant say this exact
Yes.
sentence. Every
Kevin, get out of
penny.
my office.
Yeah, also that. Yeah.
I thought we were all going to do
You thought we were going to?
No, actually, what Dr. Durant said was, "It's a boy. It's John Jones."
No, right there.
You're
I was
born in his
literally born in
office.
TV. That
Yeah.
was a good one too.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that.
It's a bud.
So no, he said every dollar that they spend
Yep.
on educating a child K through 12
Yep.
is wasted if the kid isn't ready for kindergarten.
It's wasted.
The
Interesting.
information about 0 to 5 education for kids is absolutely some of the most interesting information
is.
I've ever read
It
or
is.
learned
Which
about.
means nothing.
And it is, right. Like, for example, I went to preschool and I don't know what a third of a cup is, but that's not the point.
That's right. And she's a victim of the system.
But Gretchen also read
But-
Heart of Darkness.
That's right. But the investment in
Yes.
kids that are 3 and 4
Yes.
years old and what
Yes.
that means
Yes.
to that little life for the rest of their life is irrefutable.
It's also comparative of how we invest in our infrastructure.
That's right.
100%.
Right.
Well, this just sort of
which we-
became unless I'm mistaken, in the last 20 years,
54
maybe
years.
25
Yeah.
years. I mean, everyone agreed that it was 5 and 6 years old
100%.
was the place, which
Was
is
the
when you start
place.
kindergarten.
Yep.
That's when it became.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's been in the last 2 decades
Where you
that
backed it up.
that we backed it up and thought, wait a
Yeah.
minute, we're seeing that these kids are coming to kindergarten and they can't hold scissors and they
I'm
can't
gonna ask-
color
It's the
and they
development. It's the
gonna-
development of that brain.
John, can you walk me through an ideal state, a Hope Toledo kid? Where do they start? Where do they go? Where do they
Oh,
end up?
that's really good. So
Walk me-
two
This is the
sides.
best one we've ever had.
You can enter the Hope Toledo continuum in 2 ways. One, early childhood, right?
Okay.
Ideally,
And remind us all, early childhood means
education.
what?
So we're talking 3 and 4 years old,
Okay.
preschool. So before they enter kindergarten, and I should add a note because you said all this information that's out there. In the state of Ohio, you're not required to send your kid to school before the age of 6. You're not required to.
practically middle-aged.
Right? Right? You're not required to. You can send them at 5, right? They can't go to kindergarten before they're 5 or about to turn 5, whatever that is. When I say about to turn 5, like in the next
In the
30
school year,
days.
okay.
But at 6, it's compulsory,
Okay.
right? So that means you can just let a little kid run around doing whatever they want to do. So I just need to put that sidebar there. But 3 and 4 years old, you can enter our Hope Toledo space typically through a child care center.
Okay.
So we partner with child care centers. So there is no Hope classroom, there is no Hope center that exists that we are operating. We partner with the Catholic clubs, the Toledo Days, the Quality Times,
The
so on and
private
so
providers,
forth.
right.
We partner with them, right? So there's a few nonprofits. The YMCA is part of our network right now that we do. So you can enter that way. But then you also, we started this process in the post-secondary. You can enter based on the fact that you graduated from, and we've only piloted this at Scott High School. So you can be a graduate of Scott High School starting in 2020. So we did 2020 and we did a couple of the years subsequent to that. Then
That's
right,
when Gretchen
literally,
turned 50.
literally right now, she did. Literally right now, we stopped that because we're still trying to work on funding and I don't want to go too far and get us beyond the space. But that's how you can enter the mix. And then also you can enter the mix if you're a parent of one of those kids that graduated from Scott. So it's a 2-generation
When I win the lottery
model.
You're set.
I know.
You're set for life.
Geographically
I'm waiting.
speaking, to let's have a kid from where you grew up.
Yep.
I'm a Junction kid.
Yep.
Where do I go?
So you would go to any of the child care centers close to where they are. If I'm a Junction kid, you're talking Sandy Sandbox, Toledo Day Nursery. Now, mind you, all of those are a little bit farther away. You're not walking there, but mom and them can get there. You're looking at one of those centers, or which is a little bit farther up the street. Quality Time would be close to you as well, going up Door Street. Outside of that, now you're talking. And we've got centers strategically placed around community.
Children's Discovery Center
you
is
can go
one
up
of them.
Children's Discovery
Absolutely,
Center. You can go up to Little Ducklings, which is like on Tremainsville,
Sure.
all of that stuff. So those are intentional because what we wanted to do, we've got East Toledo Family Center. We want to make sure that we're in neighborhoods so then
sense.
you can access
And Hope is
get to it.
supporting the whole ecosystem.
The
So
whole ecosystem.
if you're a student and if you're a parent and you're applying for your sliding scale model for support,
absolutely.
because it is over $1,000 a month for paid preschool.
Yep. You're going to get something.
You're going to get something. You're going to get a couple bucks all the way up to maybe a good portion of it, and that's paid to the center.
That's paid to the center.
To pay for that child to
100%.
to
So
be there and defray the cost for the families.
absolutely. And so we say it's on a sliding scale, so up to 400% of federal poverty guidelines. So right now, the federal poverty guideline is $31,000 for a family of 4. So if I'm earning in my household over $100,000, 100 to 120, I can still access the program through Hope Toledo. I'm not qualified for publicly funded childcare or any one of these subsidies, but Hope Toledo comes along and says that's a lot of money to pay $1,200 a month. So instead, you pay 5, Hope pays 7, you get access, high quality is delivered, teachers get paid a little bit better in the classroom, blah, 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 blah. You walk through those things.
So what is I'm going to make you pick.
Yeah.
The biggest barrier to this working, right? Is it the cost of tuition? Is it the number of high quality seats that are available? Or is it parents just not knowing that they should put their kid in preschool?
All of the
You
above.
can only choose one.
I can
All
only
of
Yeah.
the-
one.
it's all
Right.
of the above.
You should have had a D, because all of the above is the answer. But what I would say is, I believe personally right now, the number one barrier is having the resource to put my kid in, because I believe many parents, not all,
And you didn't say money.
I didn't say money. I said resources. Money's a part of that resource, right? But part of the resource is I may have the money, but I don't have the time or the access or whatever that is.
Transportation.
All those different things. And when I say I may have the money, I may qualify for dollars. So we've learned this really quick. Just because you remove the barrier of dollars does not mean all the other barriers have been addressed, right? And so how we've looked at this is that if we can provide the resource, many families are going to come out of the woodwork and say, yes, I want to choose. Because if you have the resource does a couple things. Number one, it says, yes, as a family, I can choose. But 2, it says to the child care center, I can be a better center, meaning that I'm doing good work, but I need more capacity. So I think about, and I'll give them a shout out, Quality Time is going to have an open house or grand opening. They just built a 3rd building on Door Street, right? She's going to be able to expand and open up 3 or 4 more classes out of that building. And to be able to do that in the neighborhood that she's in
Pay their people
is
more.
critical. Pay their people more. Open
more
up the
people
space, do
available,
this, that, and the
right,
other.
right.
So if I'm able to, because most of the child care centers we deal with are not nonprofits. Most of them are for-profits, which means they got to run a business.
That's right.
And so it's great to say, I love to educate kids, but I also got to love to make sure I got a bottom line.
That's right.
Because without a bottom line, they're going to be out of business, or they're scraping to make it happen. And so what we believe Hope has been able to provide is the support mechanism that says to each one of these folks, here's how we're going to help you navigate, support you, so you can be a better business. If you can expand and grow your business from 1 site to 2 sites, maybe 3 at some point, now we get more access points. And I hate to say this because it's going to sound really bad. I'm cool with people popping open a shop, pop open your daycare. Great, got it. But please know that it is more than opening a daycare so I can get a couple dollars that can take care of X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
Well, that was another question that I had, was about, people's misunderstanding about what 5-star, 3, 4, 5-star quality
Yeah.
childcare is.
Thank you.
It's
That's a-
not
yeah.
playing all day.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's truly supposed to be, if it's 3, 4, or 5 star.
It's
In the
education.
state of Ohio, it's curriculum.
Yes.
Right? And so Hope
Who
Toledo.
gives it the star?
The state of
State
Ohio.
of
State of
Ohio.
Ohio.
So, and that's actually in the process of changing.
Oh,
So
really?
that's a whole nother conversation. So it'll be similar to stars, but they're going to do tiers. So it'll be, gold,
So they're
silver,
gonna simplify it,
bronze.
it
They're
sounds like.
trying to.
Yeah, I mean, the stars is the best system we have.
It's
Yeah.
the best
But
we
it's
have, but it's
not
still
good.
because
Yeah.
you can look at. So to your point about stars, which is so interesting, you can go to right down the street and you see the little sign, step up
see
to
that, but I
quality,
don't know what it means.
and I
Yeah,
see
that's great.
I'm 4 stars or I'm 3 stars.
Right.
What it means is that you've gone through a battery of assessments that the
Mm-hmm.
state has come in and done, which says I have a teacher who's qualified at this level. I use this curriculum. I have X number of classrooms, and I know you and I talked about this before. I actually have a bathroom that's connected to that classroom, as
all of
opposed to
that
you having to
licensure
walk
kind
down
of
the
stuff.
hallway
Right.
to get to a bathroom, because that would then disqualify you from getting one of the measures met. So
Okay.
then you may not be a 3-star, you might end up being a 2-star because your bathroom is farther from the classroom.
Okay.
If you don't have all of the 2-star checks,
Yep.
doesn't matter how many of the 5-star checks you have, you weren't able to get past there.
You weren't able
So
to
if
get
the
past. It's the
bathroom
weirdest
is-
thing in the world.
So if the bathroom is too far away
Right.
from I was at a pre-K to 12 school, right? So
Yep.
For
the
college.
bathroom was, yeah, that's right. If your bathroom is too far away from the classroom,
Yeah, you're not getting that.
you're not getting that. And so what happens is you get a number of, so this is where Hope Toledo has been really interesting for our community, and I'm excited about where it continues to go, especially as
Yeah.
you guys advocate for change and how we score that. But now that there's dollars available,
Yes.
right? Now that we're talking about increasing revenue to a school
Yep.
or to a child care center, now you've got centers that otherwise wouldn't have applied for the stars because they wouldn't get them, that now
Yep.
they're saying, okay, you know what? I'm actually willing to be a
Yes.
3 or 4 star.
Yes.
Previously, you wouldn't apply unless you were 5. If you're not going to get 5,
Because it's not marketable.
yeah, right. I'm not going to say, hey, we're a 2-star
But
center.
Hope-
Come on
Hope
over.
lets people at 3 and up, right?
Yeah,
so
we
you
do
can-
3 and up, and we're actually having conversations. So like with if we're able to get increased dollars, right? Our brain says, how do we help 1s and 2s become
3s and 4s and 5s.
3s
yeah.
and 4s,
Yeah.
or become whatever that is?
To increase
and so,
just the capacity.
yeah, to increase capacity.
So back to the messaging about the curriculum.
Yeah.
Is, how do you convince a mom or dad,
Yep.
grandma,
Yep.
that when they see $700 a month, which
Yep.
is a lot,
Uh-huh.
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it to go. Like, what
Yeah.
are they? They can just play at home.
Yeah, and
right?
so and that's where, so when you threw that third one, it's like, ugh. But resources help to change the message, right? So part of the messaging is how do you develop that child for future growth? The other part of the messaging is how do you give mom and or dad time and ability to go to work?
Yeah.
Because right now, you're looking at a major economic impact of having parents out of the
household.
workforce, right?
Interesting.
And I'm stuck because parents are right now choosing in a 2-parent household. One parent is choosing, do I really want to go to work? Because to go to work, and if I'm not earning X, is it really the right value
math
proposition?
doesn't
Because the
work.
math
My
don't add up.
household
I might as
had
well
that
just stay
discussion as
home
well.
because
Yeah.
I got to pay for gas and I got to pay for this and I got to do this, and we're paying for childcare. I'm paying for the house note. Just running right out the door.
Two girls. I've only had 2 girls in at a time. It is just over $2,000, I think, a month to send them both.
That would be about right.
So does it
That's insane.
validate?
Does that validate me having one of the spouses
Right.
having that other job, or might as well stay home?
Sure, right.
But now that means somebody doesn't have an employee. So what do we do about that math?
And that parent
It's-
staying home, then saying, "Well, we can keep the 5-year-old home, so myself or my wife can teach." No, everyone is losing simultaneously.
Now everybody's losing. So it's all of those things that then
I guess
get
I didn't think
added
about that
together,
as the cycle of that, right?
and that's the piece.
And then single parent homes,
Yes,
obviously, of
are
course.
struggling
Right.
to navigate
Right.
through that. But
Right.
I would say this about the awareness. If parents begin to understand, my kid just got X amount of learning, I'm able to go to work, they're in a safe environment. And if I can begin to put that together, because it's the years of learning after that. So what we see, literal data, is that if I'm not doing well at kindergarten, I'm not going to do well at
Yeah.
3rd grade reading. I'm
Right.
not going to do well beyond. And the data is uncannily and eerily
It's shocking.
proving itself out. So right now in Toledo or in the state of Ohio, 35% of folks are at the demonstrating level on the KRA, right? Which means the top level. So the kindergarten readiness assessment. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
So on the top level, they are at the top level of that, which means the inverse, 65 to 68%, 65 to 62% are not ready. what we see is that third grade reading scores, 62%, 63% are not proficient in reading.
So it
Eighth
never
grade math,
improves over those
62
years.
That's the
me
point.
ask you-
Tell these two, before they ask
That's the
another
point.
dumb question, tell these two
Must just stop the
about
show.
either the state of Ohio or the federal government, I don't remember which, who uses that third grade
Yeah.
data to decide what
Prisons they're
how
about
many
to build.
prisons they need.
So data is used right now for those that are in the prison building business.
Right.
They look at data that says what are the third grade reading scores, because they believe that they can, and they've proven this, they can
Assess.
predict
Yeah.
and forecast how many kids are going to enter the juvenile justice system and how many beds are we going to need
Yeah.
to build the new jail.
And the problem with this is that, I mean, and there's so many layers with this,
Yeah,
right? But
tons.
like the reason why reading is important,
Oh my gosh.
is because among all of the things that have not changed in our educational system, it is learn to read to
to
learn.
learn.
And so
That'll
K
never
through
change.
You don't
3,
need math, is what I'm hearing.
Another public service announcement from Gretchen the Doctor, who is a defense attorney, and her business is thriving.
That's why I'm a lawyer.
she's
so
also
I don't
she's
have
also
to do math.
looking
Yeah.
she's also looking at third grade reading
That's right.
levels.
If you'd
saying-
like some of my services, which sounds like 38% of you are not going to, but
65%.
I was about to finish
you're
that.
doing
If
it
you
the
could
way
just wait
around. Okay, got it.
goddamn seconds. Can,
But it's so K through 3
Yeah.
Yep.
is where you learn to read.
Yep.
yeah.
And then 4 on,
Yep.
you read to learn.
Yeah, thanks for repeating that,
And
Kevin.
so if you
I just
don't,
got it. I didn't get it before.
She didn't. You see that? That's that third of a cup.
And the whole time, I'm just learning Tom Cole's black. So we're all learning.
Wait,
So, oh God!
No,
Keep
go ahead,
going.
go
No,
ahead.
please,
Go
Kevin.
ahead.
No, we only have an hour left. So
Dominic,
go.
save us.
Yeah. Dominic is pouring gasoline
he's
on
like,
himself
wrap it
right
up,
now.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay, John,
Yes.
do you still love your time at Hope Toledo? Are you still
Oh, my
loving
gosh.
it, loving the work?
I'll be very honest with you, and I've worked in a couple different jobs, and several of you know, right? I've been several different places. This is absolutely the most fulfilling, most purposeful space that I've been able to sit in.
Well, I think it's the perfect culmination of your other positions, your
Absolutely.
history, your career in the city of
Absolutely.
Toledo. I mean,
All
it
of
really is
Yeah,
a perfect
it pulls
placement
all
for
of
you.
it together.
I agree.
And
I actually
says,
want
let's
to ask a
move it.
personal question
Yeah.
about your skill set, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
John, you and I, you won't remember this. We were in the same room together when you were being called to do what I'm about to make mention of. You made mention earlier about coming in between a teacher and a student. If it's your grandmother, your father, your siblings, or just your DNA, what makes you a great mediator?
Wow.
Because you certainly are, and I won't say what the issue was that you were coming to navigate through, but it was pretty
Were
tough.
you in that room?
Well, you're not. It could be. You do this a lot, but it was. You were not coming to the aid of the institution that went left or right of center. You were coming to the aid of the community that needed
Absolutely.
to have everyone be in the same gymnasium.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were being called a bit to the mattresses to say, why would you even do that? And your comment was, I'm not doing that for the institution. I'm doing that for the kids that are involved in the community. So, again, I don't think that's specific enough because you
Right.
do this with some real regularity, regrettably. But what does make you a good mediator? You're a man of flesh and blood. I'm sure you wouldn't describe yourself as a saint, but
No one would.
Not at all. No,
Right.
nobody would.
yeah. So when
Especially
you
these three.
when you were
not at the pace this is going.
yeah,
Not at
so
all.
what taught
But
me
Tom Cole,
Yeah.
absolute
right.
saint.
Yeah, he would. Right,
See?
right. Tom
the
Cole.
joke works.
It works, doesn't it?
But
I
talk to me
think
about
Jones and Cole mediation is the new.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
like
Let's
it.
go.
the
or
new
Cole and
company.
Cole.
Let's go.
Can you? No, because everyone thinks he's Tom Cole anyway.
No, I got it.
I would. I
just
would
wasn't
say.
funny.
I would say this. If there's anything, because I don't necessarily see myself in that space,
Sure, that's probably why.
but hearing as you,
I genuinely think that.
I think what I've tried to do, and I've had a couple people say this, even in this space, because you were in that room when we were first doing this work around Hope Toledo. So you're bringing community-based providers who have been burned for years, folks haven't treated them right, so on and so forth. What I think I try to do most is to listen. What's going on? How are you dealing with it? What's your thought? And then actually trying to have an open enough mind to say, I may vehemently disagree with you, but I still want to listen to you. And I think that means what that says to people is, okay, I can at least say what I need to say. He may not agree, but at least he's going to listen to me, and who knows where that goes. And what that means is that there's value. And so I believe, because I've done this several different times, I remember a group of people I went to, they were getting beat up, torn up, threw out from institutional spaces.
Yeah.
And I went to that group and I said, let's talk. Talk to me. What are you dealing with? And they still come to me now and they say, you know, I'm really surprised that you came in and you listened to us, because nobody was listening to us. And I believe it can be somebody who is absolutely wrong, but if you take a moment to listen to them, not validate what they said because it's wrong, not do any of that, not take their side, but actually listen to them. What it does is it brings the temperature down, because Dr. King used to say that violence is the language of the unheard. And so when people act out, it's because they haven't been heard. That's why a little kid acts out at 3 years old. That's why college kids act out. And that's why grown folks are acting out right now all across this country, because they're not heard. And doesn't mean you agree, because I'll tell you in a minute, I disagree with you, but I at least listen to you. And so now it's not that I disagree just out of hand and just said, I don't like Kevin, so I'm not going to listen to anything that he says. No, I want to listen to him. And I've found that it just might be that there's something Kevin said that actually had some truth tied to it, and some merit tied to it. So now I can actually shift a little bit of my own thinking.
There's an in-between to be found.
That's a valuable gift. That's a real asset.
And it's hard. It's hard to do. I appreciate it significantly.
We were talking earlier, and you talking about your childhood, and you had said that, you know, certainly the three of us would understand how difficult it was and enjoyable it was to grow up in Toledo. Let's fast forward to 2024. What is it like living in Toledo now and raising a family in Toledo? How has that changed in 50 years?
So a couple things. Number one, Toledo is a really great place. And I don't say this because of the three of y'all that are sitting here, but each of the three of you have had your hand in some of the, quote, revitalization and shifting and all of that stuff. So I hate to give this guy the credit. I hate to say this out loud. But the metro parks are like a really phenomenal place. And so here's one thing that means so much to me is typical metro parks in Toledo historically is you got to drive. Childhood growing up, Pearson Park was our spot. Right? Pearson Park was our spot.
That's a hike.
Pearson Park was it.
That's a motto for the metro parks, right?
That's a hike.
Good.
That was our spot. We would go there. But now
That's 6 miles from your house.
To be able to cross the bridge, right, from where I live, to have a metro park to be that close is so meaningful, like in so many ways. And I think that's what means a lot to me about Toledo, is because I've seen the growth. People can yell, scream, and holler and say, oh, they should have done one years ago. Okay, cute. Where were you going to find 5 acres of land that you could just do something like that on? But I think it's that change and that shift. It's seeing, you know, people want to talk about it, bad or good, whatever, the revitalization of our downtown, to be able to see activities that are now happening. Things are moving. When my kids can come back and say, oh, that's pretty cool, that means a lot. Now, it doesn't mean that, you know, my daughter's in Columbus right now, right? That's where she works, Columbus City Schools, great, wonderful. But I don't think it's a deal where she's like, I absolutely hate Toledo and never, ever, ever want to come here. They come home pretty regular, right?
That's nice.
I don't think that existed. I won't say that didn't exist, but it feels different now that I'm 50.
John, remind me of her age again.
My daughter's 23.
23.
So I'm 50. So I feel like I can see this and experience it. And I know what growing up was like. We always found a way to make fun, have fun, do this, that, and the other. All that stuff was great. But now you can actually physically touch it. And I sit here and I laugh at people because they're like, well, I'm mad you did this on the same weekend as somebody else. Well, guess what? Pick one, pick a weekend. Two, if it wasn't 3 things happening on a weekend, you'd be yelling and screaming. There's nothing to do but one event. No.
Or you can do both.
You can do both.
Wait, what?
You do 2 things? One weekend?
Matt like half attends all the things. So
I'm half attending this. So
I can tell.
More of a third.
A third, that's good.
Measurement
Now
Jane
she
over there.
measured it,
Yeah.
she's good.
No, I don't know if that's less than a half. I'm just saying.
She underestimates
a third.
everything.
So, all right. So then let's look future.
Yes.
What does Toledo need?
Oh my gosh. Here's my, if I were to have one big fear for the city of Toledo, it's the ability to engage leadership. And what do I mean when I say leadership? some people say the next generation of leaders, blah, 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 blah. My fear is that with the current society and culture that we have, there are people who have massive talent, massive skill, massive heart. But for some reason they say, I don't want to do that. And so they do great stuff, and that great stuff ends up getting housed in a couple different pockets. But the city needs a continual flow of great leaders coming through. And I'm talking about from elected officials to corporate
Public,
business to
private,
now
faith.
all of it.
You're exactly right. Faith
And
is,
so my
faith
fear,
same. Yeah.
faith is the same.
Absolutely.
So my fear is that when you watch titans go off the scene, right? Whether that's due to retirement, passing away, whatever that is, and I can name some even in my own faith belief, right? When you see them pass away and then you see the struggle to identify who's coming along behind them, it means two things happened at the same time. Somebody wasn't developing, and two, for some reason, there's this feeling that if I walk in, I'm not going to get the same response, the results, the this, that, and the other, so I'd rather stay on the sidelines. And the more sideline people we have, the harder it is to move the ball down the field. That's my biggest fear. So if I were to say, what does Toledo need? They need a plan. And I don't want to say it's a plan because that sounds like a document.
No, I think that
They just, minimally, you need a recognition that this is even happening. I mean, it's also a generational
Absolutely,
thing, right?
'cause that's the other side.
But I think there's a lot of people with that don't have that level of recognition about that potential problem.
And we've got, and I say this out loud because we have some great people who are leading in different spaces, but to see all that come together, it's hard. But that's where I get excited because I see folks who are, I do see some folks starting to lean in, and I think if we can encourage that, so that's why what I do every day is try to encourage these 20-somethings, 18-somethings, 20-somethings to say, that can be you. And then how do we infuse enough people to come around and say, oh, okay, I am interested in that, right? So being a leader at, whether that's in city government, county government, corporate leadership, this, that, and the other, even in the church, I want to be able to do that so that people see there's a road for me. And that road doesn't have to look like my dad's road.
That's right.
Because that's the other challenge. You got to do it the same way they did it. No. That's what's killing us right now. Let people use their skill sets and talents, and then let's put that into place. That's where we get greatness.
So you're obviously a smart and wise person.
You're kind. You're
Gretchen,
so
when you ask
What
a
is
question,
the-
did you immediately go away from the microphone?
I do.
Good.
What is like the dumbest, most mindless thing that you do just to sort of unwind? Your sort of guilty pleasure. Is there some really dumb show you watch?
That's a
Is
good
there
question.
some?
That's a really
do you
good
do
question.
some?
It's gonna be
do you-
Kevin's
do you
favorite show.
Do you crochet or something silly
Yeah,
like
I
that?
hope it's not crochet.
It is not.
I actually hope it is. I just.
Oh,
I
yeah, I'm
have
going
this-
to change my answer.
Well,
I also,
that-
yeah.
So
I
my
have this
daughter,
vision of
my
John
daughter,
Jones
my daughter
in a bow
crochets.
tie.
Nude.
Listen,
Do
my
you make
daughter-
your own bow ties?
Take away that vision.
Okay,
that
not nude.
vision,
That'll
take
fix
that
it.
away. Wait, but my daughter actually crochets, and I've actually thought about, do I want to learn how to do that? And then I'm like, I couldn't
Not
sit
yet.
that long.
No,
I'm
no,
not there
it's
yet.
70 maybe.
So I've got
54.
I've got 3 things that I do.
At 53, you
I'll
can
be
do
there
it.
next year.
At
Oh wait.
54.
At 54, when you've lost
Wait,
all
listen.
hope. Yeah.
Listen. So the 3 things that I do. 1, I mindlessly play golf because there is no mind activity for me in golf. I love to play it, but
Where do you play?
I'm just, one of my best spots to play is Ottawa. I
Yeah,
love
it's
Ottawa
beautiful.
Park.
Yeah,
it is just
I
a
agree.
beautiful course
I agree.
to be able to play. And, some days I'm trying to get serious about it, but at any rate, it's not serious. 2, there's a couple little games on my phone, right? And I just
Candy
found
Crush?
one. No,
Road-
Candy Crush
Road
is
Clock?
not it. It's not that either. It is this dadgum farm town. Like,
Oh my
I'm-
God.
Tell me what
That's
is Farm
hilarious.
Town?
Craziest thing
No,
in the
isn't
world.
it? Isn't it Farm Time? Or no, Farm Time.
No, it's farm town.
Gretchen, you don't even know your own age. Don't interrupt
It's
the
like
guest.
it's literally farm town. So you're building a whole town all by yourself. You're building this town. You're growing food. It's called
And
township.
all-
On your
Sorry.
phone.
Okay.
It's called township.
Yeah,
So
that
this
doesn't
little
make it more
joker
interesting.
does the craziest things in the world. So I sit there and I do that.
You're
And I
gonna
got
play it right now,
I'm
aren't
going to
you?
play it right now.
What's
I'm
the
sorry.
third
I
thing?
should turn that off. And then the third thing.
After hearing that, you want to know
I
the
do.
third thing?
You
Because
wanna know
it's
the
gotta
third
be
thing?
something.
You think it's better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I want
How
to
could it possibly be better
you
than
want it to
Farm
be-
Town?
You want it to be worse. So
I'm
so
downloading Farm Town
golfing, you need to township. Look up township.
Okay.
Google township, people. Township. You'll love it.
Do you want to put an affiliate link out there?
Is this owned by the People's Republic of China?
No,
or
it's
is
not.
It?
It's
Okay.
not. At
All
least
right.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should probably.
We don't have a
research.
huge download. Don't worry about it.
I know. I don't.
Yeah.
So it's 1, it's 2, and then 3. Honestly, I love just reading a good book.
Okay.
That's like that is for me to just unwind and be by myself. I should add 4 because I did it before I came here,
Oh, God,
and this
is gonna
happened.
take forever. How long is the show?
We're gonna stop.
The 17th thing that John Jones is interested in. Jesus Christ.
This one happened during COVID though.
Yeah.
I started cutting my own grass.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a riding mower.
Let me ask you a question. I've known you a long time. What do you wear to mow the lawn? Tell the truth.
It's
Yeah.
this,
Is it
isn't
this?
it? It's a suit and a bow tie.
Yeah.
You know
I think
what's
it's
scary?
a T-shirt with the bow tie printed on it.
What's
We can't hear you
scary
'cause you
is that
keep
I
putting it away from the
have
microphone.
cut it in a suit.
Yeah.
I literally
Well,
have
you're
cut it in a
sitting
suit. But what
down.
I normally do is right.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sitting
Just
and chilling.
writing.
Spoken like someone who's never cut their own grass.
You see that? You're sitting down and writing.
Is
would
it
I
a
do
real
that?
town or is it farm town grass that you're cutting?
No,
you put little
this is my real
obstacles in the
grass,
yard
and
to
I
try
just
to-
ride around them, blah blah blah,
Picking up
And
some
so-
wheat over
but
here and a couple
literally,
cows over there.
Cutting grass was like my space because COVID. Because I mean, come on, you guys are out
Sure.
doing a lot of stuff too. So not being able to go to meetings, not being able to, I just went outside and I would ride, and it would be so.
You have a riding mower. That part wasn't a joke, John.
Yes.
You mow your grass on a riding mower.
On a riding mower.
In a suit. You've done it before.
I've done it before.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. Well, you can as much as you want. You're shaking to the
I just
microphone.
told everybody.
It is incredibly relaxing. We used to have a bigger
Man,
property than we do now,
listen.
and I had a riding lawnmower, and I would go out
Yes.
there, and I made the mistake of cutting the grass on the riding mower in 15 minutes. And my wife says, "So that was possible?"
See,
Oh,
my
that
God,
was
my
a
bad.
big
see,
mistake.
My
because
bad.
I don't do that. I take all the 3.
3 hours.
3 hours.
On
It's
the
not-
homestead.
It's not that it takes that. It's not
I'm gonna
that
text
it's
your
that
wife
big.
tonight.
But between edging, trimming,
Okay,
all of
yeah,
that.
that's right.
Everything that I do when
The
time
prep
I
work,
walk outside,
that's
the
right.
prep work,
That's
the
right.
cleanup,
Tying your tie.
all that,
Yeah. Getting on the
waving at the neighbor.
That's right.
Everything.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah. No, I could see you
Oh.
being wildly meticulous.
It is so cool. And when I started doing it, so I literally would have somebody who used to do it. And so then when I started cutting it myself, they were like, "You sure you don't want us to come back?" Nah, buddy.
Yeah. You like the lines to be lined up? Is that? Yeah, I get it.
And then I get weird because then I start doing diagonal
weird?
lines. Stop it.
Okay.
Diagonal lines.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that looked really cool. So I'm going to try that next time.
I don't mow my own yard, but
Or take in any of the decorations
Interesting.
from
I
a
took them
holiday
in
motif.
yesterday.
Okay.
Did you?
Interestingly,
I live across the street
I
from
watched
Gretchen.
the TikTok videos of the guys like mowing the
Mowing?
yard and cleaning up the big overgrown yards. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
SB.
And they're
Home.
like
I,
high
I,
speed.
I have a
Yeah,
family
yeah,
and friends, so
They're
I'm not
awesome.
able to watch
And
TikTok,
they-
watch lawn mowing.
Yeah, they knock on the door and they're like, "Hey, we
And they
see
say,
that."
"Can I clean your-
Yeah,
can I
I'm
clean
That's great.
just- the reason
SB
I bring
mowing.
it up is that
Spencer.
suggesting
Yeah.
that you could do that while you're out there.
While
That
I'm
could
out
take
there.
5 hours. You do a couple other
And I
people's
can go
yards.
do a couple other people's yards and do it. But it's like mindless work. Just riding, just keep the line straight.
All right. I'm so
I love it.
grateful
This is
that you
cool.
came in today.
too.
I want
I'm
to end
Yes.
with the
beginning.
question that Matt asked that
Yeah.
he thought was a joke.
Yeah.
But I seriously, I want to challenge you. We're going to end serious.
Okay.
So John Jones, in the dash in between the dates
Yep.
on the tombstone.
Yep.
What do you want people to say about you and your legacy when you're gone?
Wow. So that I cared about people first. And I want that to be like clear. Like in everything John did, he cared about people. I want people to also say that he cared about his family. So people is one thing, but do you take care of your family? And 3, I want people to really say out loud that he represented all of those things, the people he served, the family, and God. He represented them at a high level of integrity. If they can say that, I feel like I've lived a good life. So you know what's crazy? And this is a true story. I did a executive coaching year of executive coaching last year, and that question was literally asked. So like at the end, you're walking in a room and they're there to celebrate you after you've passed away. What do they say?
Wow, that's interesting.
And I'm like, that was the hardest thing for me to answer. Hardest thing. That's the only reason why I can answer it better now. Hardest thing to answer. But then when you sit and you think about that, which I think is a really great question, am I living now to get there?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you are.
I agree.
I appreciate that, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh man. It's so good. It's so good.
The three of you are doing some bang up work in this town. So when I saw this podcast pop up, and this is very serious, you guys are doing phenomenal work.
Thank you.
And it's excellent.
We're just goofing around.
Thanks to John Jones for being an incredible guest, and thanks to you for listening. The 419 is sponsored by the Employers Association and Wheatro Wealth Management. Tim Wheatro and his experienced team of advisors at Wheatro Wealth Management have applied their expertise towards helping you for nearly 35 years. They'll customize a financial plan geared towards you, establishing attainable goals that they will help you reach. In turn, you can rest assured knowing that you're in experienced hands, giving you peace of mind about your financial future. You can email them, contact us at wheatroadvisors.com, or visit them online, www.wheatroadvisors.com. Thanks to Megan and the team at the Employers Association. Thanks to Wes and Tim at Wheatro Wealth Management. And thanks to you for listening to the 419. Oh, I almost forgot. If you're still listening, of course. We've got another live podcast recording coming next month. So mark your calendars for Monday, September 16th. We're going to be at the Garden by Poco Piatti at the new Glass City Metro Park. So come on out, 6 o'clock, to the Garden by Poco Piatti at Glass City Metro Park on Monday, September 16th for another live recording of the 419.